This is the next part of F581 tutorials. So what we're going to be looking at today is something called externalities. Now you may be asking me, well what is an externality? It sounds very fancy, but I mean, what does it mean? Well, I'm going to draw a simple diagram. See if you can. You don't actually use this in an exam, so please don't go into your exam and go put a little diagram. Bill's 7817 told me to do this in one of his tutorials because then I'll get sued by OCR or whatever and probably end up in jail. You know, anything could happen. So don't do that, okay? Don't. Look, the pen's getting serious now. Okay, so as I said, back to what we're actually meant to be learning. So what is an externality? Well, I'll put the definition up here. So an externality is when the social costs, I'm not actually going to word it, social costs exceed, well actually there's two types of externalities, I'm just going to do the negative. Social costs exceed the private costs. You go, how is that? Well, I'll explain it in a minute, but you just need to know that when a negative externality occurs, the social costs are bigger than the private costs of an activity. So we can, or if you're talking about the positive externality, it's when the social benefits exceed the private benefits, so you just replace benefit with cost. So, or benefit. And this can be applied to both social and private. So I'll just put like a little. So that's the core thing you need to know. And I'll just draw like a little. I'll leave this up because we're going to be talking about externalities the next few tutorials. So I'm going to leave that on there, so you don't need to worry about that. And this diagram here. So I just put this is an example of a negative externality. So social costs. You just draw, and then, oh wait, no, not social, sorry, private, external. Now, you may be asking me, well, what is a social, what is the difference? Sorry, I'm going to have to eat, otherwise I might die of, exhaustion. Nice banana. Good banana. Yeah, enjoying this. Right. Excuse me. So, what is a private cost? I'll write these down, probably should. A private cost is the cost. Sorry, just make sure I'm wording this. Yeah, there's not much to this one. I don't think there was. It's just to the cost to the decision maker of performing an activity. Cost to the decision maker. So that could be you or me. And I'm not going to write an example, but an example of a private cost could be, yeah, say if you're taking your car out for a drive to London, for example, the private cost to you could be the cost of the petrol getting you there, because that's impacting on your wallet or your back pocket, or the cost of going to Dunham Mill, for example. That is a psychological cost, but it's still a cost to you. So, the cost to the decision maker performing an activity, I should say performing. There's not much to that definition. That is the textbook definition, out of the textbook, weirdly enough. Performing an activity. So, obviously the private benefit is just going to be replacing cost with benefit. So I'm only going to write down the costs. So the private costs, social costs, etc. And you just, as I said before, you replace cost with benefit. But when you talking about the diagrams, you talk about it in a lot more depth than that. So, the social cost. Well, as I said, the social cost is larger than the private cost when an externality arises. And you can see here we've got external cost, or something called an external. It's just a short word for it, shortened external cost. So, if the social cost has to exceed the private, cost, it has to basically have the private cost included. So how can we word this? So the social cost, if it's not just the private cost, you and I, it's the external cost as well. So it's the external cost impacts on a third party, which is not directly related in performing of an activity. So that's the definition for an external cost. I'm going to write that down in a minute, but I'll just give you an idea of where we're coming from. So the social cost is the cost of an activity, not just to the decision maker, but to the does it say third party in there? The rest of society. And obviously that means it includes both the private and the external costs. So I just put P plus E, private plus external. Now we have mentioned this thing called an external cost, and I have sort of told you the definition for it. I just put external. So you can change these two things around with the benefits by just replacing the word cost with the word benefit in the explanation. So hopefully it's quite simple to you. So external cost even is the cost of an activity is the cost to the third party. Now when you're in an exam, you can't just say third party, you need to relate it to the case study. So if you're talking about, I don't know, for example, the excess fishing in the sea, for example, that's just an example. If the private cost would be the cost of the petrol or the diesel, getting or the wages of the people going out there. But the external cost of the third party would be the cost of the wildlife, the decrease in fish population, as they've not had a say to be fished. So the cost to the third party of, just how it's worded in here. For sake. Oh god. Sorry, it is on the previous page. God's sake, why isn't it in there? Mine, sorry. My language, yeah. So cost of the third party of an activity. As I said before, I'm not going to write this down, but oh wait, actually it probably will do. Cost of an activity of the third party. Oh wait, no. So the third party is something not that directly related in the decision making process, but it's affected by the actions of others. Probably don't write that on there because it's a bit long. So hopefully that's got your mind whirring away, and we'll see you in the next video.